Dust 2 is the most basic and the most balanced map. But before we begin talking about tips and tricks and blah blah blah, we need to understand the basic premise of what makes this map the most popular one and different from the other maps. Dust 2 is a combination of big wide corridors with small choke points. But what do you mean by choke points? It means entrances that are narrow enough to be covered entirely by one Molotov or a smoke. The A-long door, the B entrance, the mid door. All these are examples of places where the CTs can lock down the area with just one Molotov without even having to fight. Even if the CTs have to fight, it's gonna be relatively easy for them. For example, while coming out of A-long, the terrorist first has to take care of the main angle, then he has to worry about pit right here, the areas on top of pit, and then this side right here. Basically, the terrorist has to clear multiple angles, meanwhile the CT can just continue staring towards the doorway and worry about this one position. In choke points like these, the CTs have an advantage. The rest of the map is big and wide, which means the terrorists can simply rush down. And believe me, that's now the best way for the terrorists to play. In big wide areas, the CT cannot rely on utility usage because it won't cover the entire area. They will have to fight in order to stop them. And let's be honest, fighting in CS really is a 50-50 gamble. You need to try and make it an unfair fight, something that's not 50-50, and try to bring the odds in your favor. That is why Dust 2 relies a lot on trade frags. What is trade fragging? It's the art of having multiple teammates fight the enemy at once, making sure that whenever your opponent peeks, they have more than one of your teammates on their screen at the same time. Basically, you have to make sure that you don't give them straight up 1v1 fights. By the way, we have explained the concept of trade fragging in detail in another video on our channel. Check it out if you haven't already done so. The terrorists can Molotov crucial parts like the bomb site A, goose, car, which will mean that any of the CTs hiding there will be flushed out of their corners and forced to fight. Situations like these favor the terrorists a lot. Secondly, let's talk about rotations. In Dust 2, the rotations for the CTs are easy. Both the bomb sites are essentially connected in a straight line. That means unlike Inferno, where the rotations are lengthy and time consuming, the rotations in Dust 2 are quick and responsive. The downside of this is that the terrorists can simply cut the rotations path in half, like slicing a cake in half and very easily preventing the CTs from rotating from one bomb site to the other if they get a hold of CT spawn or the area outside the mid door. If you have these basic principles in mind and know which parts of Dust 2 favor the CTs and which favor the terrorists, you will be able to cook up strategies of your own. Now that we have gotten the map basics out of the way, let's get down to business. I'm gonna be talking about the A site first, and for a terrorist, A shot is the bread and butter of capturing the A site. But getting to A shot could be a little problem because this guy right here with the AWP will be a trouble for you. To deal with this sniper, we have to throw the Xbox smoke. It's pretty easy. Line yourself up into this corner on T-spawn. Then look at this line, the shadow on the wall, and take your crosshair all the way up till it meets the roof of this structure. Then all you have to do is jump and throw. The smoke will land on top of the Xbox, which will block all the vision of the sniper over here, which means you and your team can safely get to A shot. Now that you've taken care of the sniper on mid, the next step is to deal with the CTs who will be playing on these angles, right here or behind the stairs. To deal with them, all you have to do is throw a flashbang which will bounce off this window. Now, most people might think it's pretty easy, but it can be a little inconsistent because even if it does bounce, sometimes the flash will just go only up to here, which means the person holding this angle does not get flashed. To make sure that you're consistent every time and he gets flashed all the time, I would recommend sticking to the right side of A shot. And then throw the flash only after this lamp is out of your field of view. You can see now the flashbang travels further. And this guy will always get flashed. Now that you've taken control of A shot, the next step is to get to the A site. Now these Molotovs are super helpful and they're actually pretty simple, so I'm not even gonna bother showing you how to throw them. This one through its screws and then the Molotov onto the A side. These Molotovs really help the CTs who are hiding behind these boxes out into the open so that you can kill them and not have to worry about their hiding spots. But the problem is, even if you deal with the guy on Goose and the one on the A site, you still have to worry about the guy who's holding A ramp. He still has a clear shot onto you and can be a problem for you. The thing is, this guy has the cover of this box, so he can hide and do pretty much whatever he wants. But the terrorists, they have no cover. All they can do is run from A shot up to the A site. And then it's a shooting gallery. This guy can rattle off shots left, right and center. Even the guy at car, he can assist him. So you see, it's just a straight passage all the way over here. It's a shooting gallery, and then that could be a real big problem for the terrorists because they don't have a lot of cover to go to the A site. The solution to this problem? You jump down to the CT base. Here's how you can do it. Line yourself up behind this box into this corner and then aim at the bottom left of this window. What this will do is the smoke will go down towards the CT base and cover this arch. You still have to worry about this little gap on top, but it's okay. I mean, just to be on the safe side, you can throw a flash in there so that the people on B can't hurt you. Now what you can do is, instead of just going from up there, you can jump down here and flank the player on ramp from here. But this guy now, he's in trouble because it was easy for him to, guard this angle and this angle, but now he has to worry about someone coming down from CT as well, and this could be a big problem for him. Now that was all about A short. Let's focus a little bit on A long. The thing is, the CTs will always reach this spot before the terrorist reaches the door. The CTs have a spawn advantage. So, how do you deal with that? One of the smokes is pretty easy. Go into this door right here. You see this line right here? Take it all the way up till your crosshair meets this corner of the other castle. And then simply throw. It doesn't have to be accurate because the smoke will land on the same place regardless and cover up this entire corner. Although, personally I'm not a big fan of this smoke because I don't think it establishes that much. You can simply throw flashes over the wall to force the CTs away from the angle. And here's another interesting flash. In the middle skylight, you can throw your flash by jumping and it will bounce and blind the CT outside. But the best part about it is that this one will not blind you or your teammates, so you can peek immediately after throwing this one. Alternatively, you could throw this flash by bouncing it off the wall right here. It's gonna explode right at the edge of the door, which means the person playing over here will not have a chance to react to it and he will be pop flashed. The CT crossing is now too wide to be covered with only one smoke, so you will have to use two. Get inside this corner near the barrels. Look at the lamplight over here and pull your crosshair up until it's in line with this antenna thingy. Then do a running throw. This smoke will cover the close end of the cross, but there's still a gap on the far end. To cover that one, you could just simply throw a casual smoke down there. It doesn't have to be precise, you could just throw it anyhow, and these two smokes should be enough to cover the entire cross. But if you are on an eco, or if you don't have enough smoke grenades, or for whatever reason you don't want to use two smokes, you could make do with one. Get inside this corner, stand in the center of this wall, and then look up to this corner to find the L-shaped one. In the middle of the L-shaped corner, just do a normal throw. This smoke is similar to the one I showed you on A shot before. It will cover the CT arches. There will be a little bit of gap on top, but to be honest, that's not your main concern. With this smoke, you have to worry about any of the CTs who will be playing on elevator, somewhere on the A site, or maybe even A short. To burn the car area and flush any of the CTs outside who might be hiding there, jump on top of the barrels. Then look at the door. Aim a little above the door knob and then do a jumping throw. This will burn the entire corner and force any of the CTs hiding behind here outside. It is now time to rush B, my friends. Rush B. The thing about the B rush is, it's a gamble. You never know if it will work or not. And more than a gamble, it's a goddamn meme. Literally 90% of the CSGO memes are based on Rush B. You know why it's a meme? Because the CTs can just throw one smoke or one Molotov and completely ruin your B rush. Yeah, good luck getting through that fire. So how do I rush B, my friend? Well, one of the things you could do is get inside this corner and then find this line, throw a smoke at the bottom of it. This smoke will give you some cover from the CTs. They can't see you, but they can still spray through the smoke. If they get lucky and hit a headshot, well then, you can't really do much about it. But the best thing that you can hope for is that they won't see you and just continue spraying randomly. You can get to the end of the smoke and then fight the CTs right here. Let me just hold the smoke once again. Or, what you could also do is jump up on this box and continue fighting. Get to the left side of it and toy around with the CTs. Obviously, the B rush has to be accompanied with a lot of flashbangs. Throw this one so that you don't get completely flashed, because this flash explodes in the corner right here. So you and your teammates won't get flashed. Also make sure that your teammates don't flash you, because let's be honest, 90% of the times that I've died in a B rush, it's because of a teammate's flashbang and not something that the enemy did. The B rush alone is not strong enough. That's why you combine it with a mid to B split. Get inside this corner on Xbox. Look up to the wall in center and throw the smoke. This smoke will cover the CT base, which means now you can go ahead and do a mid to B split. But be careful. The CTs can still see through the top of the smoke, which means they can kill you if you try to go towards the doors. What I would recommend is, while doing a mid to B split, simply cross over to this side and then safely continue going in from the windows. Avoid going in through the doors. Another thing that you need to keep in mind is that the CTs can get on top of this box and see from above the smoke. So the next time you're doing a mid to B split, be sure to check this position. Now we've spoken a lot about what you can do on the T side. Here's a little bit of something you can do on the CT side. The fastest way to smoke A long is to get up on top of this car, aim on top of this thing, and then throw the smoke. It doesn't have to be precise, it will still cover up the A long doors anyway. There's a lot of pop flashes that you can use to stop an A long rush. The first one is thrown from this corner. Jump throw against the wall and peek as soon as the flashbang pops. You see this really small trajectory of the flashbang? It's so good that the terrorists will never be able to avoid this pop flash. You can throw another one from on top of the bomb site over here. It doesn't have to be exact, but you can bounce it off this wall on CT spawn and then peek. Obviously, it's not as effective as the one I showed you before, but then this one can be used for yourself and your teammates as well. The B side, I would recommend that you throw a Molotov or a smoke towards the tunnels right at the beginning of the round so that you can stop a B rush. But let's say for some reason, the terrorists still get control of the B side and plant the bomb. Here's a situational Molotov that you can use. Let's say that you're right outside the site and you hear the terrorists coming in. As soon as you hear them trying to plant the bomb, you can use this Molotov. Just do a simple running throw. This Molotov will explode right in the default plant position and stop anyone from planting the bomb. If not stop, then it will definitely at least delay them until your teammates can arrive and back you up. Here's another thing that you can use in the retake situation. Go near this window, then aim at this spot and then simply throw a smoke. This will cover the tunnels. That means while going into the retake, you do not have to worry about any of the terrorists hiding inside the tunnels. From the same spot, there's another thing that you can do. Go inside the same spot once again, follow the door line up on top and throw a Molotov right there. This will burn the closet position, and that's yet another position that you now don't have to worry about going into the retake. You can throw a Molotov from this corner. Get inside this corner, aim at this leaf, move forward a little and throw. This will practically cover this entire box and stop anyone from hiding behind there. Thank you so much for watching, folks. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and a comment. Subscribe for more content and strategy breakdowns. We will see you next time.
I'm coming home.